in your view, what, like, we talked about this a little bit actually on the panel we were on
Yeah.
last night. What makes it old school or like original systems feel different than the modern systems?
Okay.
And why do you think it still resonates with the players today as opposed to just converting completely
Well,
over to modern?
I'm going to get probably a little more controversial than I did last
Okay,
night.
that's fine.
Modern games, and by modern games I mean 3E and later.
Yeah.
Modern games try to nail down everything. They try to provide a rule for everything, a detail to cover every detail. Everything should be filled in the rules. There should not be any ambiguity. They say the game master gets to pick, gets to make decisions, but in practice, the players will hold the game master to the rule book.
Yeah.
In an old school game, the game master runs the game. Rule books are a suggestion. The rule books are allowed to be vague, and they are. There are many places in basic fantasy that are still vague that now cause confusion for younger players because they come into the game expecting everything to be nailed down. And they don't understand, what do I do, because it doesn't say what I do. And the answer is, you as a GM make a decision. How does this work in my world? How does this work at my table? And you have to make those decisions for yourself. A good example is the rules for turning undead, for example. By the book, your cleric raises his holy symbol and expresses his faith and admonishes the undead to go away. And then divine power flows through him, and some of the undead leave, or maybe all of them. If you're fortunate, if he's really powerful, they just turn to dust. That's the basis. But then immediately the question, can I do that next round? If I didn't get them all the first round, can I do it next round? If I fail, can I do it again? And those are not written in the rulebook. They are not nailed down. The game master is expected to make those decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
In my game, at my table, if you succeed at a turning roll, but you don't turn all the undead, you can try again next round and see if you can get some more up. As soon as you fail, you're done for that combat because your faith has weakened. And you have to get away from the combat and reflect a little bit and come back to your next fight. You can try again, but your faith is flagged, and you have to stop turning and get out your mace. But that's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. Any game master has an idea about how they want to do it differently, with more detail, with less detail. Just do it once in the combat, call it done. However they want to approach it, that is their decision.
Yeah.
That's the first part of it. But the second part of it is the effect of that.
Yeah.
And this is the important thing, is in an OSR game, the game master really is controlling the game. The game master is making decisions. In the OSR, the quality of a game session is dramatically controlled by the skill of the game master. I suspect that has a lot to do with why modern games don't give the game master that much leeway. The GM in a modern game is often treated like the CPU of a computer, expected to execute the software provided exactly as written.
Okay.
And if the GM as a CPU fails to execute it properly, it is considered a CPU failure, not a failure of the software. And I think that's how it's meant to be. And the effect of that is, it is harder to be a really bad game master in a modern game. If you can execute the rules faithfully, the game will be a certain level of good, always. Because as long as you faithfully follow the rules, it'll be at least as good as those rules. But it will rarely be able to be much better because you can't extend. You can't reach beyond. You can't look at a spell and say, in this vague spot, this is how this works. Or even say, I don't like this spell, this is how this works. Or whatever the power is, whatever the monster is, whatever. You can't make those decisions because you're not supposed to. The modern game nails that stuff down. So I believe modern games make it harder to be a bad GM, but they also make it harder to be a good GM. They narrow the window of GM quality, of game quality. I would rather play in a game where I have a talented GM, even if I don't agree with their rulings in general, as long as they're consistent.
Yeah.
I may not like how they do it, but I can still respect the game and enjoy it, even if it's not exactly how I would have ruled. I would rather do that than playing a game where everything is nailed down firmly.
Yeah.
You know?
It might be a little bit of a hot take here, but judging off that, do you feel with becoming more of an experienced GM, if you started out with modern, I'm finding a lot of people that start off with modern are either coming to the OSR because they're finding it more appealing after so long because they don't want to feel like they're running a group of superheroes. Do you think
That is a different
Yeah.
distinction too, is the power creep
the
levels.
power creep level? But do you think, as a game master, it might make you a better game master to run an OSR system as opposed to like a more modern system?
You have the opportunity to get better. Will it make you better? You could still stink.
Yeah.
But you have the opportunity to improve because you can
Mhm.
stretch out, you can make decisions, you can do things. There are other things I could talk about with modern games, and you're going to have comments on this that I'm dissing modern games. If that's what you want to play, if that's your style, I got no problem with it. You do what makes you happy. But for me, old school is the only way. And you talk about the superheroes thing. I've run advanced Marvel superheroes. It is old school. It is an old school game. The game master makes decisions. The game master controls the game,
Yeah.
decides how things get interpreted. But they are literal superheroes. I mean, you got people that can knock down buildings. You got people that can jump off a building, leave a crater in the ground, and walk away. That's just what you've got. You've got superheroes, but you still have an old school game because you still have the game master being able to stretch out and do those things. I've never played a modern superheroes game, so I have no idea what they're like.